the US company is a robotics company that needed these technical engineers to come over to the US, and they needed 2 of their senior engineers. They've worked at the China company for several years now. They're here visiting as a tourist visa. Their prior H-1B application somehow got messed up by a different firm. The CEO is extremely pissed off, found our firm and say, hey, can you help out? And so we were looking into it and like, well, they messed up on the H-1B, but luckily you might be able to qualify for the L-1B, which is just as good. And this was before this whole like trade fiasco and talking about the 100,000 fee. And so we looked into it and like L-1B is actually much better suited for your company because you already have too many H-1B engineers from overseas in the US. L-1B is for a specialized knowledge and it might work better. And they don't care to get a green card anyways. So why don't we do L-1B? They looked into it. They say, yes, let's go. We prepared the application within maybe like a month. We filed it within 2 weeks, case approved, and they're able to stay and work here and with their entire family. So it's a great story. And especially this day and age where people are considering they might not qualify for the H-1B anymore, L-1B is really a good alternative. So let me walk you through exactly what we prepared for them and maybe you can see if you qualify. So the first thing is you want to establish who the US employer is. What is the US employer? What are they doing? And why are they important? Talk about the national interest about this US company. They already know you're petitioning for a foreigner. Talk about how important this company is to the US economy, to the US culture, to US, national interest. In this case, it's a robotics company talking about self-driving cars, right? So a lot of engineers are needed to make this happen. A lot of technology is involved. The foreign company, the subsidiary of this company through like a couple other Asian countries, directly employs these 2 engineers overseas. And they were, leaders over there. Not necessarily L-1A leaders, they're not like executives, but they were engineers, right? And they were part of a particular technology that they invented overseas and that they needed here in the US for this next new product launch. Completely makes sense. A lot of people who are H-1B have that. They worked on a particular project. In this case, we have 2 clients. They each had a patent. We argued that they've been in the company for several years. They have this job description. They have their work history, and then they needed to come to the US, and this is their job description here. The good reason why L-1B is better than L-1A in a lot of instances is because you don't need to supervise that many people, right? You are bringing your expert knowledge here to do your job. You don't need to be a manager, executive. You don't need to hire 5, 10 other people to manage. It's just to do your job. So the US company really wanted that to happen because, again, it is impossible for them to hire a US worker with that special knowledge, or they have to pay a lot of money for the US worker to acquire that knowledge to do their job, right? So it was very easy. The 2 people came here as a tourist visa. They looked at everything that needed to be done. We did a change of status. They were able to stay in the US and now they can work 5 years. And then once they're done, they go back. And potentially, if the project is ongoing or there's a next product launch, they send somebody else here, right? L-1B is great for that purpose. Now, if the company likes them enough, they can file EB2, EB3 for them, and they can get a green card that way if they want to. So L-1B is a great substitute for H-1B. The caveat is you just need a US company and you need a foreign company, and they need to be subsidiaries or affiliates. Whether the US company owns the foreign company or the foreign company owns the US company, or they're both owned by the same person. If you can make that happen and you have a foreigner who is really good at what they do, and the inspiration for me for doing L-1Bs, by the way, is when I was doing a lot of these cases back when I just started practicing as an attorney. I saw other people who did L-1Bs and they were specializing in Brazilian chefs. And they brought a bunch of Brazilian chefs over with the L-1B. And I was listening to their argument and the way they prepared the case in the conference. And I was like, that's genius, because they're arguing the way you grill the meat. Fogo de chao, for example, is a very specialized skill. The culinary art schools here don't teach that. And so you need to bring the skills from overseas, from Brazil to the US through the L-1B. Wow, that solves the chef shortage for this particular restaurant. And then eventually that got manufactured to all the other different arguments. Well, every cuisine in the world is unique in their own home country. That expanded into all the other, restaurants and chefs. And I'm like, if that could apply to chefs, why not IT? Why not all these other things? So we started trying to do different things. So again, accountants, anything you can show you have a specialized knowledge and certification is a great benefit. So we did that. L-1B is a great method. And just sharing that for everybody who's concerned about the H-1B. If you have any questions on L-1B or alternatives to H-1B, feel free to reach out. Take care.